Welcome to Now and Xen. This summer, I've had the pleasure and educational opportunity to attend two magnificent events dedicated to microtonal music. The first was UnTwelving, held in Munich, Germany by Positionen magazine, which was a notably well-curated and genre-friendly event. There was a huge variety of concerts and lectures, and I got to meet many people that have been interviewed on this podcast and others that I thought would be impossible to meet. The big concert, which was sold out, by the way, was at the Münchner Kammerspiel, and I performed with James Mulvale, Philip Gerschlauer, Taki Bunker, and Anna Maria Hefle, as well as share the show with Tolgahan Cholu and Embryo. I've left a link in the description of the order of events, so you can look at the program. Who knows? Maybe if they get a lot of support on how great the first one was, they'll have it again in the future. The second was UnTwelve Xen Harmonic Praxis Camp, classically known in the States as a rural retreat, where we make the kind of microtonal music that's generally not encouraged in other spaces. The camp has gone through some fascinating evolution from its humble beginnings, and I thought it would be interesting to get some footage from attendees of the camp to see if they had any commentary about recent events. This year, and last, UnTwelve has been held at Mid-Mountain Retreat in Virginia. I performed with characters such as Chris Klein, Mark Johnson, John Moriarty, and Gordon Weary. For the start of this episode, we have a conversation between myself and three other attendees of the UnTwelve event at Mid-Mountain. Episode 99, we were talking about just the camp and how it feels and where it's going. And so we had Jacob and Vito and Ian. So Jacob, I was wondering how you think UnTwelve in recent years is maybe different from past years, or if you have any thoughts about the direction that it's going in.
The body of microtonal works that are visible now,
Yeah.
when you go online, they've matured quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which means that the original posture of the summer camp, which began as a summer camp,
Yeah.
which is now morphed into more clearly a retreat and a workshop.
Right.
That was geared towards education with kind of the assumption that people were just finding out about Xen harmonics.
Right.
And increasingly, the people that we got as applicants were already way into Xen harmonics. So
Yes.
it was like it was geared towards basics.
Right.
And yet people coming in had tons of microtonal experience or had studied up on it. The funny dissonance there was that they still had no experience singing these things. And they had various theoretical understanding and various instrumental experience. But when you get together and sing, it kind of peels away and reveals the way that your ear and brain are like that little loop.
Yeah.
And so it's a great way to build facility
Yeah.
with microtonality. So I think it's been useful for some people. I mean, some people get into singing on their own, and I certainly did. Like my moment was, I was tuning a Halberstadt keyboard to 31 equal, and I was like, oh, these notes are small, but I can learn to sing them.
Yeah.
First, I had jumped to 72, and I was writing for instruments, and I was like, these notes are too small, and I can't hear them.
Right.
Then I went to 31, and these are right size for me right now.
Yeah.
So I started making music with those, at least that. But yeah, so the educational kind of pose was definitely like, was challenged with the people that came to it. And so it was morphed by that.
Right.
When I think back, the first kind of departure was that people who I was trying to get to teach, they didn't want to teach because they taught during the year. They wanted a break from teaching and they wanted to have fun and make some music.
Yeah.
So there was already the thing of like, let's just create things for each other to enjoy or enjoy playing together.
Yeah.
Which is what we're doing at this exact one.
Yeah.
That was the major kind of morphage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good explanation.
I feel like I'm missing something in there. There's just something really nice about immersion.
Yes.
When you're doing nothing except working on these tunings, especially pieces of music. I just keep coming back to the rounds because they have an immersive quality, because you can repeat them and practice them by repeating them. That's the design of them, or that's the structure of it. So many times we'd be driving in the car practicing rounds. And so that's like a really just a memorable kind of way to learn.
Yeah.
Moving, physical travel with practice.
Yeah.
There's been like attempts at kind of scaling it up, which haven't quite stuck, and it mostly has to do with attracting a big performance talent so that we can, like, many people can write music for the big performance talent and get a bigger production and get higher quality recordings and just greater involvement of more talented or just more professional composers and performers, and be kind of legitimized in that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like, I would almost wager that a new set of traditions are being developed, because last year was really pivotal, I think, because the event almost didn't happen. And, Kite kind of taking things in a new direction and including tags in addition to the Sagittal Songbook rounds that you do mean that there's sort of a new practice developing and a new flow to the camp where we're a little bit more goal-based, very transparent about our objectives, and also really focused on recording.
That's the explicit goal of this retreat, and it never has been before. Like, there was one where it was like we're just sitting in a room composing and then learning, but it definitely, this was advertised really the most as that. Yeah, so Kite he has a great way of cutting through the bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, just getting from point A to like point L.
Yeah. And he's a good communicator.
Yes.
Which I think is really important too. You see people in this camp, I think, who come in and are ready to play and know a lot about the tunings, and the thing that I think to myself is like, how rare it is for a bunch of musicians to come together and be able to play and all understand how to play along to a chart that's like in a completely different tuning, like Gordon's song Wasting Time. Like, I'm trying to think about when I first came to the camp and how I think maybe a lot of the attendees might not have done that yet, myself included. Mm-hmm. But now we've kind of got a situation where people are learning enough about it online and they're interested enough in playing music together that we can just like all kind of show up and, play along to a 22 EDO song with enough instruments and knowledge, and because the instruments also have changed pace to match as well, in a sense. So I think maybe a lot of the changes we see in the camp aren't just based on the fact that 2025 was a completely reformative year, but also based on the fact that technology keeps exponentially improving as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking further back. I guess I'm trying to paint the bigger arc of what's happening, but it is really moving exponentially.
Yeah.
And the instrument development is feeding back into the pace at which people are learning the theories and becoming good at their instruments.
Yeah.
I think the thing that you say about a new culture emerging, what culture is that? Do you think it's just around knowing how to play in these tunings, or are you talking about something else?
Yeah, I think a lot of it might be about knowing how to play in the tunings and having established standards for instruments that do so, such as the lumitone.
You're kind of talking about like how it works. And like how it's been evolving, but my thoughts are kind of more just like the experience of being here and like what it means to come here.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool to talk about what it's like to be here. I mean, I'm sure you've got a lot of thoughts on that. I mean, I know that I'd like to be playing microtonal music a much larger percentage of the time.
Yeah.
And UnTwelve allows me to do that in a way that I feel like I should have regular access to, just as a person who is good at a thing in a reasonable way and You know how, like, you're a musician, you kind of have people around you who can play, and you kind of gather them up and that sort of thing.
Microtonality is this infinite space.
It's so big, yeah.
The camp has come, for me, this very big space that I can't begin to, like, summarize in this conversation. We're just kind of like a little worm just in this, like, soil terrarium, just kind of making little trails.
I'm almost testing how much microtonality I can fit into one retreat. And I still don't think I've reached my limit yet.
That's what you did last time.
That's what I did last time, and I did it this time too. But last time, it was a little bit necessary to help save the show. But this year, I feel like I don't have to be in everything, and we still have a concert.
So you're talking about last time and this time, and there are more people, and it's true. The more people that come, the better it is.
Yeah.
And it's, it's a little bit of a risk to come.
Yeah.
And then a thing like this. So the more documentation that we get, the better on that level. But there's something that is it's born out of something that is, what exactly is it? Came out of the School for Designing a Society. It's like a brainchild of that. Only because the people who were first working on it were students of the School for Designing a Society, which, say what you will about it, it's oriented around envisioning a society that is not this one. As a deliberately stipulated premise, like this is how things are going to be because we say they are, not because of some argument because we're doing microtones because Harry Parch, pull it out of the history of Pythagoras. It's like acknowledging the break of like 12 equal to 13 equal, like we're doing 13 because it's not 12. We're doing 13 so that we can find out what 13 equal music sounds like.
Yes. There's an investigative purpose.
Avoiding what it might be easy to do or what is already established. We're avoiding that, and we're like making a container that is safe from that so that other things can emerge.
Yeah.
And, well, what does emerge?
Yeah.
We can start talking about that. But also, when that starts emerging, socially at least, it starts resembling current society. Because it's like, you haven't fully scooped the thing out. And maybe you never will. And like, that's not exactly what the purpose is, the point is. For me, Xen Harmonics has been united by an edge of idealism.
Yes.
Like I found out what it was, went to listen to music, and for me anyway, it was like none of this microtonal music is quite what I think it can do. I think it can do more than what I hear. While there have been some like really amazing pieces and performers, what got me into it was like getting sucked into thinking that it needs me.
Right.
And part of that is that it's a marginalized project, seems, at least from this vantage point, especially considering Xen harmonies and melody departures from what we know in the West, as opposed to some other departure point, I guess.
The sentiment that microtonal music can do more than what you hear is also a sentiment I share as well. Like, I think there's just so much untapped potential. It's hard to not imagine what could happen, just the sheer number of possibilities. And I think that's part of the reason that this camp is really exciting. And, since we have more people this year, there's also kind of I think there's more questions to be asked about how many people this camp can have, too, because now the camp has been at Mid-Mountain, which is potentially another tradition. And so, we have about, maybe we have 15 people this year, right? Maybe a little more?
13.
13?
I think 13.
Okay. And then, with that, the house is full and some people are outside, right?
Yep.
So it's pretty compact.
Well, it's like this event there's a design that's emergent or that's matching this size. It fits what we seem to want to be doing.
Yeah, I think it's a good match too. Yeah. And I think also we have, I feel like maybe in this year and last year specifically, there also have been a group of people who are returning, perhaps such as the two of you and a few others, who maybe are committed to returning and have regular roles that are helpful. You know, Vito, you've been really helpful with recording and audio and everything, and just doing amazing mixing work. And Jacob, you and me, I think, have kind of been doing a lot of the singing. We can create something that's so regular that people will have some kind of consistent expectation. Mm-hmm. I think maybe a consistent expectation of what it can be like that feels more regular than it has been in years past. Like that this is a recording thing. But I'm not necessarily against the idea of lectures or anything.
I've definitely incorporated lectures into it before, and there's no definite reason to exclude them. I like what's happening with kind of the organic conversations that are happening here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the recording has its own march along because it's a room that's set up, and we do what we can in the room, and like pulling people in when they need, and then all kinds of other things happening in the periphery.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
This barn space as a secondary space, which we didn't ever quite need parallel recording spaces, but if we were a little bigger, we could see that happening. Definitely always we want to have more upfront organization in anticipation of just everything, all the logistics going on. For example, when one piece is using certain people, what's the best use of the other people?
Right.
And it's pretty clear to me at this camp that it's not reasonable to ask everybody to be interested in singing together, because some people, they don't want to do that. That was maybe like a hippy-dippy dreaming thing of the 2011, 2012 thing.
Yeah.
Like it was a tradition, and there's a vestige of it here.
Yeah.
But it's not like the prevailing aesthetic.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
And so, it's hard for me personally to step aside and not see that as a central, like, cultural, nugget of it.
Yeah, it's like a big piece of it, but definitely feels different than in camps past. And as someone who's attended a lot of those past camps, I certainly agree.
But what I don't like, and what I'm going to be fighting from my idealistic standpoint, is specialization. If people say, no, I'm not a singer, I'm going to challenge them on that and say, you can't be a microtonalist without being a singer. Harry Part's kind of idea of corporeality, full embodiment of, oneself and the voice as being so related to your body, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But
yeah.
Something part something.
That's good for clickbait.
Yeah.
Harry Part, who's heard of him?
Just intonation, of course, I never really thought I would be as involved in just intonation. I really came to it from non-just intonation angles. Kind of got dragged in that direction, especially from singing.
Right.
Because it's so rewarding to sing in just intonation. So, but kind of the thing I was saying about like existing, you can say hierarchies that get reproduced here.
Right.
Like just intonation versus other things. Like just intonation is hailed as the great harmony, and then these irrational things are like, temperaments are temperings of this perfect tuning.
Yes.
And I see like other interesting things going on, and I'm interested in them, but I see them getting short shrift.
Short shrift?
Short shrift.
The short end of the stick?
Yes, the short end of the stick. We're using 41 equal notation to sing just intonation.
Yeah.
We're not singing like 13 EDO exercises.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do like just some really weird, wonky shape scales, but maybe we'll get there.
We're doing 14 EDO in your round.
We've tried it in past years. I mean, it's part of it, but part two of like, what am I fighting? What am I not fighting? Whose side am I on? and I guess this is in like the realm of microtonal music and tunings as representative of other like ideas. Like I'm scared to think that JI good, other things bad.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
It becomes a very like black and white, like in tune, out of tune.
Right.
True sounds, false sounds.
This is getting very Parchian.
John Eaton wrote an opera that had like one movement, or like the intro or something. You know about this?
I know about it.
Like a just I think it was around the French Revolution or just something like that. There was a, lovely just intonation section, and then it modulated into a key that the subset couldn't handle.
Right.
At which point it was like, oh no, dissonance. And I think the message that he was trying to embed into this work was that that JI is idealism, and idealism doesn't work in the real world.
Interesting. I see a lot of idealism in wanting things to be more hyper-precise than a live format or a big format will generally allow.
Yeah, and a live format like this forces composers to confront the realities of what's possible in a recording session.
I think that's really healthy.
So that's great. At the same time, we could use twice as much time and half as many pieces and get some really damn more perfect things down.
That's a feeling that I've expressed as well. I feel like, part of this is just due to my life getting more busy, but I know that when I first started coming to UnTwelve, the feeling was definitely that there were pieces written and prepared beforehand, and there were less of them. And I feel like...
That was Thomas's influence.
Yeah, and I feel like, I'm biased towards thinking this, that the world is kind of tending towards this direction where it would love me to play a bunch of short, easy things. But the meaningful, complex, hard things are also really valuable. I definitely would like to be someone who is able to work on things more and also compose things that require more effort than what I've been doing, even though I love playing a lot of easy things too.
The whole continuum of easy and hard is kind of thrown into the question by this whole realm of microtonal performance practice.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's people who are really good at it, and then all of a sudden they don't know what they're doing because it's in a different tuning system.
It can be tricky. Ooh, there's a moth on your head, Jacob.
Oh, hi.
There we go. We got him.
So at the same time, musicality, there's a hierarchy there of people who are quick studies like you. And the educative element there is just sussing out people who are good general musicians and who can play, great additive rhythms, polyrhythms, whatever, etc. The parts that aren't the tuning parts. This as the chance to practice the tuning parts.
Yeah.
In addition to the crazy stuff. That's already other pieces of the music. But when you put it all together and you're talking about pieces of greater complexity and depth, it all kind of falls under the category of this is highly challenging and experimental music, and it requires dedicated performers with experience doing that to really make some good headway on that.
Right. And it's also tricky when you might not have the instruments to practice, because an explicit part of the camp too might be getting to experience those instruments for the first time or getting to experience them at the camp. So I think it would be really difficult to say not have done this before and then come to camp and practice the instruments at the camp to do something if you're not experienced in that thing, which is why I think as a singing camp, it really flourishes, because in my first camps that I came to, I would practice a lot of singing at home, and I knew all the pieces.
Oh.
But now I'm at a weird place where, I feel like I can read a lot of the pieces here, so I don't have to practice them as much. But it also doesn't feel like it's earned when they're completed, if that makes sense. In the earlier camps, I just put so much more effort into learning what I was going to do at the camp. Yes. And there were so many less pieces.
Get more, you put in, get out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Two, there's this great resonance that comes from, say, even just doing the same piece at multiple camps.
Yes!
it's a thing that you're I hope we do that one again. And it's well, why don't we just do that one every time?
Yeah, the routine, sagittal, and now I think our Kite's 41 EDO guitar pieces are like that. Yeah, and the
guitar
tags.
Pieces?
Yeah, down minor nocturne in particular, I think is like very idiomatic for the kite guitar. I think it's pedagogical in a sense because it's really built to show off what you can do with those initial positions, and it also builds like a subharmonic chord going downwards as well, and helps you form that chord. If you had to get that chord bang out of the blue, it'd be slightly more annoying. But it's written with arpeggiation and all of that in mind. Down minor nocturne is like exactly what I would give a good guitarist who has never played kite guitar before, like to get them to get used to the guitar and what it sounds like, or what it could sound
above
like.
any other guitar tuning, I suppose. Would you say?
Yeah, exactly.
That is saying something
because of the
There's a lot of
positions and
other
everything.
tunings
I feel like it's tricky to navigate on the kite guitar, which we're getting sidetracked from UnTwelve here, but I guess the kite guitar has really become a part of UnTwelve, hasn't it?
Well, what's so interesting is there is a necessity for an educative path, partially because we need the new blood.
Yeah, man.
Like, it's not going to be one established group of people that are like, just getting together every year. There's
Right.
always people going in, people going out, people who come only one time.
Right.
And have a great time or they don't tell us time. And, so paths into a greater, advancement. Like, so yeah, singing is one. And we've got strong singers and we've got strong singing exercises that we've been developing for, 18 years or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when we first did the spiral of magic thirds, which you only experienced this week. Is that right?
I feel like I've done that at another camp at least once.
But we don't do it every time, and it's like
we don't do it every time.
We should.
Yeah, that's a good one to do.
So that's a pathway, and then what you're pointing out is that the kite guitar is a second pathway for people who are coming from the direction of guitar. Right.
Yes, I think it is.
And I'm beginning to think, well, I've got 3 different whatever. But there's so many different alternative keyboards, so it is a potluck of whatever happens to come.
Yeah, Xenharmonic potluck.
But we were now donated, yay, a hex board.
Yes.
So we'll always have a hex board.
Thank you, Shaping the Silence.
Thank you.
Yes. Vito, I feel like you were going to say something earlier, and we kind of never got back to it. Like, what it feels like to experience the camp.
I guess, like, just to start, my experience with microtonality was just enthralling, absolutely consuming from the beginning. When I learned how 12 EDO is calculated, and then I learned that I can mess with the formula, and then I started to find some things online. Bolin-Pierce scale, for example, one of the first ones I came across, it just clicked that I was like, wow, like I never heard any of this stuff before or at least maybe I didn't really pay attention to it in the music, if there was some in the music that I've heard, but this was just I became so acutely aware of like how much potential there is in sound and harmony and scales, and I was just like, I can't ever look back or forget about this. I need to throw myself in and see like what I could find here, and of course find other people who are also doing that, and that is something that was a lot harder in some ways than I had hoped back then, because up until coming to UnTwelve, that was almost like exclusively, I had to go online and talk to people there to really relate in that experience. And, even going to music school for college, I was really excited that, okay, I'm going to be with a bunch of peers who are literally paying a bunch of money to learn music. So like they got to be really serious about it, and they have to understand like how much potential there is in Xen harmonics and microtones. But I was not met with the same enthusiasm, and I wasn't able to build like even a little group there. So even through like a professional formal music experience, where music was people's like top priorities in life, I still had trouble communicating the very particular aspect of music that I'm so passionate about. And so being able to come here and hanging out with people in person who share this love has just been so incredibly important for me. And I mean, not to just like, I'd rather put it a different way, but like it just, I don't know how to put it better right now, but when I come here, I don't feel like the person who like sticks out. Of course, pretty much everybody in my life like is aware of microtones because like I'm gonna make sure.
Yeah, no, it's where all these people who go about their day-to-day lives trying to tell people about all of their esoteric fringe thoughts about how to tune things, like making weird custom instruments that nobody else understands, can find other people who actually know, like, hey man, I came up with something that lets you traverse like 13 limit JI on an infinite lattice. Wow, cool. Yeah, like most people look at you like you're an alien if you say that, but these guys, you get it. Like, you guys are great.
Yeah, it's like a whole, like we know the drill. Like, if someone tells us what mean tone temperament is, it's not new information. We already figured that out.
We did.
And we're ready for more stuff.
I mean, the closest I really come to getting any of my like real life friends, shout out to Mary Jane, my retired piano teacher neighbor, who like I'll invite down to play Mozart whenever I like put my piano in quarter comma mean tone, just because I want to hear somebody who can actually play. And you know,
that's so awesome.
She humored me and it sounded great.
Yeah.
She didn't ask me to put her piano in quarter comma mean tone. But I understand why people gravitated to 12. I mean, it's a default for a reason.
Oh yeah, it's very efficient. And
extremely.
I mean, with pianos, you can't quite, like, it's so hard to manufacture a piano that even adding one more note in the octave would just be too much.
I think there's something to say about like the kind of person it takes to really commit themselves to something that is not as developed as like the studies in the academy. Very inconvenient and confusing and
high learning curve,
like
or whatever.
High learning curve. Some of these practices just take like a large like mental capacity to stay on track. And, you know, we all none of that has deterred us. And we all have been like getting along super well here.
There hasn't really been any clashing. If the only clashing is mostly about trying to like schedule enough time to do everything.
Oh my god, you should have seen last year. It was like that, but even funnier.
It's like the creative process. It's like having like a bunch of musical minds to like bounce ideas off of. I mean, granted, maybe if there's one drawback to being around a bunch of like avant-garde people, it's that, ideas that would scare some normal people off might be probably encouraged or at least accepted more than they would be. So maybe don't do that. Doesn't get said a whole lot here, but why would it? It's UnTwelve.
Yeah. It's a great way to put it.
Don't do 12.
Yeah, just don't do 12.
Just don't do 12, kids. That's the lesson.
Hey, I mean, I love sticking with like 3 limit stuff in 41. It lets me pretend like it's 12 until I want it to get weird.
That's right. Very good. Absolutely.
Yeah, really the thing that you were talking about was related to what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. No, just about the thing about needing, like seeing the project, figuring out what it is, and then seeing how maybe historically immature or new it is, and seeing this wiki that you can go in and just like write something that you thought of and now it's part of
Toasted Oats
reality. Like,
yeah.
It feels like it needs you because
like
it just reveals the reality that we all do need each other.
I also think that microtonality can scare a lot of people who want all the rules or guidelines to be written out so that they know what to do. And I think a lot of times when we're experimenting with tuning systems, it's a little bit like the Wild West, just at least in terms of like what kinds of traditions exist and what could happen. But I've never thought of it that way because I feel like there are biological constraints that we have to use to evaluate music, and those never really changed, but it does feel very reformative. Like, you know, in a pre-microtonal era when you don't know about any of these things. I mean, what I realized after discovering microtonality was that, like, really there was more microtonality in things that I was giving it credit for, but I was kind of rounding it all to 12-tet. So once I started to unlearn that, you know, I think I just started noticing more things and the world became a lot richer. And being at UnTwelve Camp really encourages that in a way that I find enriching and educational.
You find what people are interested in the context of the whole person and not just, this is the microtonal thing that Steven likes.
Yeah, I think so.
So when you posted that cardiac video, I was like, holy shit, we're the cardiacs.
Oh!
We're cardiac.
Who cardiacs? And then people in the cardiacs group post about jUNe-TWELVEing, and all the cardiacs fans are very mad.
It all just goes.
But yeah.
Yeah, I just want to speak to that because I don't think that most people in my life have really meant this in a bad way, but I do feel like microtones kind of ends up being a sort of punchline. For me, it's like this is a part of the human experience that like I want other people to experience, and has really enriched my life.
It certainly kicks you out of a musical rut. It's hard to stay like uninspired when you've got like an entirely new like harmonic framework to explore. And it's like I gotta have some kind of constraint, so that's why I sort of picked with 41, which still doesn't make me feel like I've actually constrained much of anything.
Right, there's so many notes to pick from.
There's so many, and it's like, oh, do I want, all right, you know, yeah, sure, I can go with a major third, but like, which one do I want? Pythagorean one? Do I want like the 5-limit one? You know, and they all sound better in different contexts. Like I did a song a couple weeks ago where I put in like both like a 16/9, like Pythagorean 7th, but also the harmonic 7/4 one, like within the same riff. It's like a challenge. Like, can I make this work? It's like, it's almost like just solving a puzzle. It's like, I want to use this note. How can I make it sound coherent?
It's that funny thing though, coherent and like experimental music, because not every experiment is about coherence. So you do find people and you do find experiments that they just don't make any sense to you at all.
And they don't have to.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
I think it's actually really hard to make anything that's incoherent as a recorded object, because you can listen to it over and over and understand it after that. So
Usually.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can kind of train yourself to make anything sound right, I think, if you're imaginative and musical enough. And so that can kind of throw a wrinkle into understanding what a given musical passage might sound like to someone who doesn't like steep themselves in microtonality every day or anything like that. So like I know that I've become blind to it a little bit. Like I'll just play something really cursed, and as long as it has an internal logic to it, I think it's fine in terms of like, you know, being able to follow it and stuff. So then I have to like find people who aren't unnaturally exposed to this delicious variety and ask them if it's okay, you know. If people will call it out of tune on a first hearing because they don't want to learn anything else about something that caused such a reaction in them. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know quite how to put this. There's music, there's like voices, like musical voices that aren't at all, they're just like, that are beyond, and there are aesthetics that are, to me, I feel like they are beyond what is called microtonality and harmonics. I mean, it is a pretty gigantic world.
Yeah.
And there is still a clear line of what is and isn't concerned with intonation at all as a parameter. I guess that's sort of where it turns into. If something's not concerned with intonation as a relevant parameter to music making.
Right.
Then, but that also breaks down because you don't have to be consciously aware of intonation in order to be making microtonal music.
Yeah, you really don't.
And lots, tons upon tons of people who are just intuitively approaching music, or specifically intonation, they do amazing things.
And some of the greatest mysteries even come from traditional non-Western music where they know the scale, but, like, we would want to go down there and convert things to sense, but that's not even how it needs to be thought of, Fascinating stuff, guys. Of course, after this, things turned into a noisy, awesome barn jam, which I tried to live stream on the Stephen Weigel YouTube channel, but the hidden checkbox for background noise was flipped on, so all the interesting musical parts got filtered out. Quite sad in the moment, but luckily, Jacob was recording the room on a high-quality microphone, and so I will be re-uploading the barn jam with better audio so people can get that snapshot in time of what was going on properly. For this episode on jUNe-TWELVE, jUNE-TWELVEing, UnTwelve, I also had one more conversation with Thomas Scheurich, who has long been an essential voice in UnTwelve Praxis Camp Matters like Jacob. His villain song was performed at UnTwelve this year, with Jacob on the mighty, meaty MIDI grinder of his own invention and Mark Johnson singing the lead part. Thomas has investigated a lot of the practical situations around creating rich Xen harmonic music, which naturally led to investigating Toby Twining's work as well as Christopher Bailey's magnificent 17-tone equal-tempered piece, Lost and Found Things, which is out online, and there are links to it in the description. The process around the creation of Lost and Found Things is an intense, multi-year project, resulting in a recorded object where some pieces can be sung live, but perhaps not in as high of a percentage as Chrysalid Requiem. Due to the large, intense, valuable, historic scope of this project, episode 100 of Now in Xen will be dedicated towards it. The one right after this. For now, let's allow this UnTwelve and Lost and Found Things based conversation with Thomas to act as transitional material from one subject to the other. So we're here at UnTwelve at Mid-Mountain, and Thomas, I just wanted to know, with Lost and Found Things, how the finished product has differed from your expectations, or any other interesting observations you can make about this adventure now that it's at the end.
Yeah.
In some sense.
I can honestly say that it didn't differ from my expectations. I knew that Chris would knock it out of the park with the editing.
Yeah.
And I also knew that, I wasn't completely sure, but we worked our asses off at that session. We have a really interesting blend between the three of us for voices.
We do, yeah.
Gave lots of good raw material, and I know that Chris, had to do a lot of nip and tuck. But it was cool because the project was planned knowing that would happen. Rather than it just being a bad surprise, this is the entire strategy for making this thing.
Right.
And I think it's a big success.
Yeah.
One thing I wish we had had time to do here was try.
Train tracks.
Yeah, I sing it under my breath sometimes, and I'm I think I'm pretty accurate because now that I have a recording to refer to that's listenable, I know that you would know a song.
Yeah.
Pads. So I would have loved to try it freehand without all the training wheels. Now the county one would have been but train tracks would have been, I think, completely doable despite how spiky Chris's harmonic language is, and that really shows the power of those tools, and that all that work it pays off.
Yeah, I really was fascinated with the blend as well. It's something that Chris and I didn't talk about in our latest post interview, but I feel like he did a really good job managing the three voices together, which is a bit tricky because I think maybe you and Jacob and myself, we all have pretty distinctive voices.
We do.
And there are a few times when we pop out individually, but
yep. And that's for the best.
Right.
It gives the thing some character while still much of the time allowing us to be a section.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like it's naturally sung, but not that you can tell it's edited, but it's very crisp.
Yes.
In a way that I think suggests that higher level of production.
Yep.
And there's something that's maybe about the attacks and the releases that seems that way. maybe not even just rhythmically, but something in like the sound timbre or the phasing. I'm not sure what it is,
Yep.
but it's very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing we didn't really talk about, but yeah. The context, by the way, is that Thomas is at UnTwelve camp, but has to leave, and we didn't have time to sing train tracks, sadly. But we wonder if there's anyone else who can handle your part. I know that you and Jacob, you have the Sagittal Songbook, and that's a tradition, and I feel like it's fully back this year, whereas last year it was a bit harder to get that off the ground due to the people we had and the timing and the planning. But this year there's more planning, so I almost feel like Toby Twining's music, he was here at UnTwelve, he's singing his music has sort of become a part of that tradition in a really interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you had any commentary on that.
Like most traditions, it's an accident. No one plans it, but like it's the interest, it's the abilities, and it's a rare chance to physically meet up. Of course, that Toby happens to live an hour away. Being a perfectionist, I'm slightly embarrassed. I always long for more. It's so embarrassing to sing a composer's music right in front of them, especially when the audience is really small.
Right.
There's nowhere to hide, and I do like that. I like the occasion to step up and go for it. Like the 21st century so far is like a time of not taking risks and not tolerating discomfort, and having a hard project to do together and being daring about it, it really feels like, it's annoying when you're growing up or doing school or something, and there's such high expectations of you. And now, where are those high expectations? They want you back.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I almost feel like I create them for myself, but I've been a bit lazier, and in a live setting, those expectations are nearly gone in most situations. It's also pretty remarkable, right, that, like there's you and me and Jacob for Lost and Found Things, and also Mark and Toby, and all of us are kind of floating in the same places because of the work that we're able to do when it comes to singing and audiating. So that makes me think and hope that UnTwelve will become like a really consistent place for this kind of meeting, with people like you and me and Jacob and Mark and Toby just like all kind of agreeing to sing that music, and Eleanor, of course, like it rushing headlong into it.
That is exactly what has happened. It wasn't even like, not guaranteed, not the plan. It couldn't help but happen.
Yeah.
Also, I have one more topic about Chris.
Yes.
It's something I thought about as I was working on that paper that I never finished, but it's so close to finished. Anyway.
Is that the one about the expenditure of Xen harmonic music?
The expenditure and methods and what's worth it, and
very cool idea.
It touches unofficially on the concept of cheating. And okay, so like a cultural macro trend has caught the up with the paper.
Oh,
and maybe it's a reason to publish again, but like these horrible, savage, like sharp-toothed questions that we now all have to ask about what even is the value of like skill and expertise,
right?
And everything that people do to be capable of amazing things. They're hard questions, and that kind of work and Chris Bailey's type of project, like, to me, provides a model of what it could be. And it shows, and I mean, I think really that what the AI cultural conversation is about is bad taste. Bad taste is the single thing that makes utterly destructive AI possible.
Right, because if, most people kind of gravitate towards things that are easy, you can understand how AI would end up, being derivative in bad taste.
Yep. And the whole ball game, like, because it just made it so clear to work on Chris's project and then get to hear the recordings and then get to play with it at least here, and we play with it live at the end of the project too. Like, it did make us into more capable humans, without a doubt.
Yeah.
To accept some assistance and make the unimaginable imaginable. And in no way would the piece mean much without knowing the human expenditure and the human's push to the limit aspect of it.
A strange thought I had is like Lost and Found Things somehow AI generating the voice material, but having it not generate the composition. Yeah, I don't think that would be as effective because there's not really, you don't have as much of a story there. Even if it sounded the same, maybe it wouldn't be as appealing. Like, and I think that story is part of, what gets people to start listening in the first place, more than just being like an affect.
Well, there's still a huge epistemological problem with, big tech's AI fantasies, which is, as far as
more
we
than
exist right now, there are many problems, but as far as we know right now, you can, polish up a product as fancy as you like, but without a human instrument, receptacle, receiver, sensory system to be on the other end of it. It's nothing. It's worse than nothing, and it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
And trillions have been invested with it. Without the receiving end, it is worth nothing. We call that a market bubble when that happens.
Yes. When do you think the bubbles
trillions are invested in a thing that is worth nothing? So
is the bubble popping already? I don't actually know.
I don't know, but I do know that, of all the huge vested interest in it now, it behooves them to not let that happen.
Right.
Epistemologically or otherwise.
They're going to get more and more desperate, I think, with that.
They sure are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, there has to be a Great Depression-esque event. Sure, fine, whatever.
Oh, man, yeah.
We already live in poverty.
Right, exactly. So many things
Can't hurt Xen Harmonics.
Yeah, so many things are already a huge bummer. But in the face of that, Xen Harmonics remains pristine and rich and meaningful. Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts on this.
All right, I should get going.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Thanks, Thomas.
Of course.
If you enjoy what you heard on the podcast, you can leave a review on iTunes and spread the word through social media. We appreciate all our supporters on Patreon, our Xen Harmonic patrons, as well as our Xen Harmonic gods. Jacob G., Peter Young, Naren Rattan, Matthew Sheeran, Hector McGuffin, Christopher O. Bailey, Leland O. Weigel, Amy Coleman, Jill Weigel, and Tina Harmon Carteau. Remember, if you're not already doing so, you can support the podcast on Patreon. The lowest tier is only $5 a month, and you get to support a great cause, promoting microtonal music in all its delightful forms. Link is in the description. You also get access to the behind-the-scenes info on many of Stephen Weigel's microtonal projects, such as numerous transcriptions, covers, or other surprises, and bonus episodes as well. I know that Now in Xen is approaching episode 100 here, but it actually has somewhere around 120 or so. That's right, there's lots of bonus episodes you're missing if you're not part of the Patreon account. A little bit goes a long way, and if you support, you get to be a factor in committing to musical uniqueness and diversity at the table of ideas. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Now in Xen. Of course, our next episode, the 100, will feature a deep dive into Chris Bailey's composition Lost and Found Things entirely in 17-tone equal temperament. Thank you so much for listening to all of this jUNe-TWELVEing. I mean, June 12. I mean, UnTwelve.